Good morning, everyone. This is State Climatologist Gary McManus with the Mesonet Weather Report. Well, we finally got some rain and some pretty good rain in some areas, but we also got more severe weather. Let's take a look at the tornadoes we've had so far in 2026. Well, we started off hot with 5 in January, which ties a previous record, so that's quite a few for January. We had a very slow February, which is wonderful. But we did have a record number 22 in March, and we've already had 4 in April with all that rain last week. And the worst statistic of these tornadoes is we've had 4 fatalities so far. So we definitely need to keep that in mind and keep those safety plans ready and in place in case severe weather approaches. Now, the other hazard we want to talk about is drought, of course. The latest drought monitor still shows most of the state in drought. In fact, it's 99% still, but we did reduce some of that extreme drought, the red color, especially from just southeast of Oklahoma City, but we still have plenty of that extreme to severe drought across the state. That's the red and the darker brown color. When we talk about that rainfall we had last week, well, it did reset the consecutive days with less than a quarter inch of rainfall map for most of the state, but look at that orange up there in northwest Oklahoma. We still have from about 34 to almost 140 days without a single day with at least a quarter inch of rainfall. So definitely need some more up in that area of the state. And we take a look at that 30-day rainfall, which, you know, it includes that rainfall we had last week. We do see those great totals down from south central up through east central Oklahoma, down into southeast Oklahoma, and even up into Oklahoma City metro area and just south of Tulsa, with wide-ranging 3 to as many as 8 inches of rainfall. But again, look at that area in the northwestern quarter of the state. In some cases no rainfall, and in most cases less than a quarter inch of rainfall for that unfortunate region of the state. The percent of normal rainfall map for the last 30 days tells the story. Again, look up in northwest Oklahoma. Some of those places have had 0% of normal, which is obviously not good. We did have those surplus amounts from southwest into south central Oklahoma and then up into east central Oklahoma. But again, most of the state still suffering deficits, at least over that last 30-day period. And of course, we know the deficits increase as we go back farther in time. The USDA soil moisture maps finally came out to begin 2026, and we do see for the week ending April 5th that our top soil moisture is at 72% short to very short, so obviously impacted right before that rain last week. And that's up from 25 points from this time last year, so not a good report despite that rainfall, which might improve this next week. The subsoil moisture at percent short to very short is even worse at 77%, and that's up from 30 points at this point last year. So obviously not good for that subsoil moisture either. But again, we hope that this will improve with the rainfall that we've had last week, and also hopefully some this week. Now, obviously the drought and other weather factors have had an impact on the winter wheat conditions. So we look at the percent poor to very poor, and it's up to 54%, which is 36 points higher than at this point last year. So definitely not a good report in that area. Now, if we take a look at next week's outlooks from the Climate Prediction Center, we do see that heat is expected to continue with increased odds of above normal temperatures really across most of the United States, and also increased odds of above normal precipitation right here in the southern plains, including all of Oklahoma, which would certainly be great news. Now, hopefully we get to reset a lot of these maps next week with some more rainfall at the end of this weekend. However, we don't want that tornado map to change at all. Now, hopefully we have some better precipitation maps for northwest Oklahoma next week, and we hope that tornado graph stays the same. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week on the Mesonet Weather Report.